The transactional style and transformational style leaderships are the two most common styles of leadership that we hear about in the workplace today. So, what differentiates these styles and which one should you use in your workplace today? We're going to look at them in a leadership style face-off.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Bergeau,
And I'm Crystal Brown.
and we're a mother-daughter mediation team, and our Korero Solutions channel is dedicated in helping you become the leader that you deserve to be in your workplace.
To help you achieve your full potential, hit that notification bell so that you're first to know about any time that we release new content. We're going to look at the 7 different elements that really set these two leadership styles apart. The first is empowerment. With transformational leadership, it's really about empowering the people, empowering them and what they are all about, why they want to come to work each day.
And transactional looks at process. What are they empowering? They're making sure that the processes are clear, concise, and well documented so that anyone sitting in the position, or if you have 10 different team members, they all know exactly what's expected of them because of the documentation and the processes in place.
The second is how they measure success. With transformational leadership, this is about the engagement. If their staff are engaged and they are buying into the vision and the mission and they are all working together, this is how they measure success of their organization.
Now, for transactional, we've got this in the bag because our success is measurable by specific documentation. So you never have to guess. You never have to worry about someone's perception. You know how many widgets you produced, what your sales were last month. We have all documented, measurable factors. So looking at what is more clear and concise when you have it down and everybody knows where everybody stands.
The third difference is structure. With a transformational leadership style, it is far more flexible. This is about having a very individual approach to each individual person, making sure that they get the most out of their workday and that they are achieving whatever they need to do.
Now again, transactional, we've got boundaries set. We want to let people know what our expectations are, but how far they can actually stretch that to. So we set boundaries that you can take this to this point, and then we have to talk about the rest. Clearly defined boundaries.
The fourth is, where is the focus? And really, it's about the future with transformational leadership. It's about looking out into what do people aspire to be? What could the company be? Taking that really big picture approach and understanding what impact are you going to have on that individual person, on the world as a whole. So this is really a much bigger, broader approach.
Transactional, we're looking at current day. What's happening today? What's in the present? How are you as a salesperson today? How are you as the athlete today? And we reward based upon that. So we look at current day status, current day happenings, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Our fifth is, what is the goal? And with transformational, it's to inspire. It's to inspire people to find their passions, to find their callings, to seek that higher purpose like we talked about before. The goal is to be something bigger than what you are today.
And transactional, the reward is in your pocket, in your bank account. So you can buy for those inspirations for tomorrow. You know currently what you're working with. So whether it's financial reward, whether it's conventions, whether it's learning, you're rewarded current day based on current success.
Yeah, transformational is really getting that intrinsic motivation, whereas transactional has more of that extrinsic motivation. The sixth element is the process. What kind of processes are followed. With transformational, this is far more open and changing based upon where you want to go, what's important to the people within the organization. It really helps people to buy into what's happening in order to make these changes happen and achieve the successes. You're far more willing to pivot if something isn't working. Let's sit down and figure out what we should do to change this in order to achieve the results that we're looking for.
And then we switch over to transactional, where we're looking at the processes. They're evaluated, but they aren't ever changing in a flow and go type of situation. When something changes that causes the organization to look at the process because something is no longer working, that's when they'll go back. But just to change something for the sake of change is not something you'll see very often in a transactional management style.
So our seventh, and this is the last benefit we're going to talk about. After this, we're going to talk about the drawbacks, because as nice as both of these sound, there are drawbacks. Our seventh is what the priority is. And with transformational leadership, it's really about the team, the group, the people that are there. That's where the important thing is. Without the people that are in your organization doesn't exist. So those team members and how they feel and what their thoughts are and what their aspirations are really come into fulfilling all of those different little puzzle pieces that have to do with what makes your organization different and special and sets it apart from every other organization or company out there.
Now, transactional rewards the individual. You don't have to be caught up in what the whole team is doing, or if you're having to pull the weight of someone who isn't. You're rewarded based on your own individual specific successes. So when you're looking at transactional leadership, you're looking at more of the outcome, the productivity, and an individual reward for that productivity.
Before we talk about the drawbacks, if you enjoyed this video, take a second to hit that notification bell and like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get our latest, most up-to-date information and videos. So let's get into some of those drawbacks. The first one is the effort. With transformational, it's really about the team effort. So you're viewed as a team, you're viewed as a group, you're all there working together. But if someone's not pulling their weight, if someone's not buying in, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort to still achieve what you set out to as a team. It's not about the individual, it's about what you're doing together and lifting each other up, which can at times be really challenging.
And looking at the drawbacks of the effort on transactional is it's all about you. Everything weighs on your shoulders. So whether you're going through something personally, whether you're going through an illness, everything and your rewards are all based on your individual efforts that you put out.
The second are the rewards. With transformational, these can become very unclear. How do we know when we've reached the end? If we have this huge, big vision of what success looks like, and it's a 10-year plan, how do we know if we're making it there? How do we know if we're actually taking the steps to get there? And without being able to drill down and look at a more molecular view of that, it can be very unclear as to if you're achieving it and not achieving it. And when you have setbacks, it can become really demotivating.
So looking at the reward structure for transactional is it can become demotivating. Believe it or not, even though you think that, how could being rewarded be demotivating? Well, you take a look at some athletes, heroes, and they're making $10 million a year. Well, next year, if the team is suffering financially and they offer you 8, you might say, I'm not going to play for $8 million a year. It can also be there might be a certain point where you've gone to enough conferences, you've done enough schooling, education, they've paid you enough, your bank account is high enough, or that you really realize that, yes, you're making that extra money, but now you have no time at home. So you're going to ask for that extra time at home, and it's not going to be looked at as something favorable. So even though those rewards are immediate and they're based on your individual performance, sometimes they can become your demotivator.
The third demotivator is success. Success is more of a perception. So even though you might feel or you might see somebody on your team and think, wow, they're super successful. Look at all of the things that they have done for the company. They might not feel that way because they still see how far there is to go. And you might feel that way yourself if you're in one of these organizations because there isn't those same type of benchmarks. So how do you know when you have achieved success? How do you know if you are successful or not? It's really up to the individual's perception as to whether they've been successful or whether they've been unsuccessful. When you're making up and deciding what benchmarks personally you need to meet, you could decide that, hey, showing up to work today means success for me. And the other person saying, hey, when I put in 10 years and I make it to this position and I've made this kind of change, that's success to me. So we have all different ideas of what success looks like. And for somebody new that's coming in that's not sure, it can be extremely confusing and frustrating.
So looking at some drawbacks for transactional success is you might be limited to what would be below your potential ability by that benchmark that is set. So if they say that, we've got 10 employees and every one of these employees, their expectation is 1,000 widgets per day, and you achieve that 1,000 widgets per day and you're all paid upon the 1,000 widgets per day, but you know that you can work at a much faster pace or that your accuracy can be higher than someone else's, sometimes there's not that ability to go above and beyond. So your potential is kind of capped at what the company or the organization deems as to what they will allot you to achieve in a day.
Our fourth drawback is the process. Within transformational leadership, this can become extremely unclear and unfocused. So when you're looking at the way that you want to do something, especially if you're in the mindset of, I like knowing A to Z what I need to do in order to fulfill this expectation, if that winds up changing, it could completely throw you off. So depending on what type of person you are, if you're not somebody that can just ebb and flow and go with it and walk in that day and find out that things have changed, you might really, really struggle with this form of leadership.
And transactional looks at making change when change is deemed completely necessary. So they're not looking on a daily basis to change the process, change the number count, change the way they do business, only until something happens that starts to create a negative aspect within the company will they look at, okay, we need to make a change and do something different here. So where that drawback comes in is when either because of world circumstances, you can be forced to change. People are not ready for change. You don't have the structure built for change. You don't have the mindset for change. So you're very slow to make that change. And that's what can sometimes take you out of competition in the market. Sometimes people will become frustrated that it takes so long for a change to happen that they'll go someplace else.
So what type of leadership do you feel that you thrive the best under? Let us know in the comments below. To take a more in-depth look at these two different styles of leadership, we've linked those videos below. Please go check them out depending on which one's of interest to you. For more resources in order to help you become the leader that you want to be, take a look in our description below. We've left a few different links for you. If you've enjoyed this video, Take a second to like and subscribe to our channel in order to get our latest content and figure out more of those leadership skills and tools that you need and receive our content as soon as it comes out.
Remember to do something today that will change your tomorrow.
Until next time, you need to look at the camera and smile, not at me and smile. The fourth is the focus. We've placed some